Hello and welcome to this video. We were continuing the second chapter of your history, that is from trade to territory, the company establishes power. In last video we discussed about the Battle of Plassey and Battle of Buxar, and in this video we will discuss about the time when the company officials became the nabobs. After the Battle of Plassey, the actual Nawabs of Bengal were forced to give land and vast amounts of money as personal gifts to company officials. Well, we already discussed in last video that in the Battle of Plassey, the East India Company won the war. It was the first victory of English East India Company in the Indian subcontinent. So when the Bengal Nawabs lost the war to the East India Company after the Battle of Plassey, now the Nawabs of the Bengal, they were forced to give land to East India Company for their various construction, for collection of revenue and all. And at the same time, the Nawabs of Bengal had to pay a vast amount of money, not as revenue or not as a tax or anything, but as a personal gift to the company officials. Personal gifts were not counted in their official accounts, and in that way, many company officials collected and gathered a lots of amount of money which were not taxable. And in that way, they accumulated lots of personal wealth. In 1764, Robert Clive, appointed as the governor of Bengal to remove corruption in company's administration. So, when the Nawabs of Bengal had to pay the company officials vast amount of money as personal gift that were non-taxable and not counted in their account, in that way the company officials successfully gathered a lot of personal wealth, whereas the same amount of profit were not going to the account of the British government. And the British government in the British territory, that is in England, it realized that the company officials are making personal profit and nothing is coming to their hand. And they understood that the company officials got corrupted. And in order to abolish, in order to remove the corruption in the company's administration, they sent Robert Clive to India as the governor of Bengal in order to remove the corruption. Nabobs is an anglicized version of the Indian word Nawab, as British were leading a lavish life similar to Nawabs and everyone was on the mercy of British. Now let's try to understand the meaning of nabobs, as the heading suggests that company officials became nabobs. Well, it was just an anglicized version of the Indian word nababs. When the company officials accumulated a lots of wealth and started living a lavish and grandeur life like the nababs, all the Nawabs of India during that time, they were living a lavish life. Like you must have seen the lifestyle of kings, of sultans, of Nawabs in some kind of TV series or drama. So you must have some idea that what kind of grand life were led by the Indian kings or Nawabs. So when the company officials started living a lavish life like the Nawabs because of personal accumulation of lots of wealth, the term Nawab, which was an anglicized version of the Indian word Nawab, was used to indicate their lavish life. Then gradually the company's rule started expanding, and gradually the company started annexing Indian state one by one from 1757 to 1857. Well, the meaning of the term annexation means it started seizing the Indian state or started taking over the charge, the power of Indian states into their hand gradually by following different methods like subsidiary alliance, doctrine of lapse, etc. We will discuss about these concepts in detail in further videos. Now the company started appointing residents. Now let's see what a resident means. After Battle of Buxar, the company appointed residents in Indian state. Now what is a resident or what was the work of a resident? Residents were political or commercial agents serving the company. So residents were a kind of official person. Those were appointed by the company on behalf of the company as a commercial or political agent. Residents began to interfere in the internal affairs of the Indian states, like point 1, deciding who will be the next successor to a throne. The residents started interfering in the political affair of Indian nabobs, like they were in the authority to decide who will be the king, who will be the nabob, who will control the territory after the death of the king. And second, who would appointed in which administrative post. And the residents, they were not only determining the successor of the nabobs, the kings, rather they were also in the authority to decide which post should be given to whom, who would be the minister, who would be the commander, who would be the chief, like they were in the authority to decide all the important posts and who should acquire them. Now let's discuss about the subsidiary alliance. Through subsidiary alliance, the East India Company annexed various Indian states. Now what is subsidiary alliance? The company forced the states into a subsidiary alliance. Alliance means an agreement by both parties. So the company forced the states, means the government, the ruler. Here the rulers were mostly the monarchs, the king, the nabobs. So the company forced the nabobs or the states to a subsidiary alliance, and in that the company decided that the king had to put an army of British and not allowed to have their independent army. The company decided through subsidiary alliance that no Indian king could have their own army, because if a king had not had their own army, they cannot simply declare war against the English East India. Because in Battle of Plassey and Battle of Buxar, the Nawabs of Bengal, they declared war against the British East India Company. And after that, the company decided that no king would be allowed to have their own army. And if a king had no army, the king could not declare war against. Now, the question is, what would happen if a king want to fight against another king and not against the East India Company? In that situation, a king can hire army from the East India Company, and in return of that, the king had to pay rent. The king had to pay money for the maintenance and for the acquisition of the army. In case the non-payment happened, the Nawab or the king had to give some part of its territory as fine. If any king failed to pay the price of the army, then the king had to submit a part of his territory as fine to the East India Company. In that way, gradually acquired, they seized much of land of Indian states from different kings. The Nawab of Awadh and the Nizam of Hyderabad were forced to cede territories and accept the subsidiary alliance. Like in Bengal and Awadh, the king were called Nabobs. In Hyderabad, the rulers were called Nizams. So the Nawab of Awadh and Nizam of Hyderabad were example of ceding their territories to the East India Company through the Subsidiary Alliance. That's all about this video. Thank you.